Hey guys, what's up? Hello and welcome to yet another episode of Tech Today. I'm your host Aayush Ailawadi. This is going to be an action-packed show. Techtember, Techtober, AI and iPhones. Well, there's iPhones clearly. And I just forgot about that. So wait, the entire show changes. This takes top priority. The biggest highlight of Techtember is in my hands here at the Tech Today studios. Let's begin. Techtember's biggest launches, the iPhone 15 lineup here in the Tech Today studios. So much has changed, but so much is the same as well. We're going to unbox these and give you our initial impressions for the second time around, the iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Pro Max with all the bells and whistles. Let's unbox them. So there you go, the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro Max unboxed for you. This one with its titanium build, which we'll get to in a bit, and this one in, I think, a Barbie-inspired pink. Honestly, compared to the rest of the standard iPhone 15s, I know I'm going to be going out on a limb and saying this is a very cool color, and I see a lot of people upgrading just for this particular color. Now, of course, on social media, you'll see a lot of pictures shared and all the typical memes saying, oh, the iPhone 15 looks exactly like the 14. But for all of us tech geeks, we'll know that when you hold this phone, and I implore you to go to an Apple store or somewhere and look and touch and feel this particular device, it's very different. In terms of the rounded edges, also this nice little matte finish, it feels very different. And this is still aluminium side rails which come in from the iPhone 14 with the same IP68 dust and water resistance. Well, that of course is only on the standard iPhone 15 and the iPhone 15 Plus. One huge difference when it comes to the standard iPhone 15s and the Pro lineup is the build quality. Now earlier when you held a Pro device, it felt a lot heavier, it was rough on the edges as well. Now things have changed. There's this titanium build, which I was hoping was not a fingerprint magnet, but my first impressions, there's already fingerprints just after unboxing. And I have this in this particular blue color. Every year I think the blue color does well. There's all sorts of, well, silver, and there's a black as well. There's very cool colors this time in the Pro lineup, which seem dull in pictures, but they're pretty cool as always when you get them in your hand. Now, the real cool thing over here is this new customizable action button, which I'm using to go to silent mode. You can do a bunch of things from the settings menu. For instance, you can make this your flashlight. You can even turn on the voice recorder straight from here, which is a very useful feature. Now, if you go to the iPhone 15, well, they don't have that action button, which this one particularly has. They have the original design, which is the mute switch, which honestly, I was a lot more used to. It'll take me some time getting used to this particular new action button, which reminds me a lot of this particular Apple Watch Ultra, which will be coming to you. The new Ultra, Apple Watch Ultra 2, will be on Tech Today's platforms across multimedia. But this particular device, I think, is a good bang for your buck when you're talking about the Pro and Pro Max or the 15 and 15 Plus. One thing that is standard now, just like the rest of the world, thank you to the EU, is that they both come with USB-C charging. And it's very interesting that you can now, well, connect that USB-C charger which comes in the box and charge other devices. Can you charge other devices like the USB-C AirPods? Of course you can. Can you connect a USB-C to Lightning and charge, well, other Lightning supported devices? Yes, you can. More importantly, can you charge two iPhones by connecting them from a USB-C to a USB-C? Yes, you can. And from what I gather and what I've been trying with these two devices, well, the device which is charged with more battery will be the elder brother who's a good Samaritan, very benevolent, and gives some charge and juice to the younger brother, or the other way around. Now, what's interesting is if you open these particular boxes, you'll see these braided USB-C cables, which I really think will be a game changer. Slight tinge of the color, I feel. Is it? I'm not quite sure the lighting. I think it is sort of camouflage in terms of the color that you're getting with this device. And just to test that claim that I just told you, because it's our initial impressions, but we can do that. We're allowed to do everything. There's no embargoes. I'm connecting this device to this device. And well, the younger brother with a slightly lesser battery pack has started charging or taking charge from this guy. This connection, it seems very elementary, but it wasn't possible without this USB-C functionality. So you're getting a lot of that with USB-C. Of course, that means now you don't have to run around with 100 cables for your iPad or for your Android devices, your headphones, everything. If you upgrade to the latest lineup of iPhones and AirPods, will all work with this one cable. Now we're going to get to the camera, because these are two iPhones this year on the opposite ends of the spectrum with very interesting camera features. But something that makes that camera so much better in these devices is the way that Apple has looked at their chipsets. So the standard iPhone 15 and 15 Plus will come with last year's A16 chipset, which was on the iPhone 14 Pro Max and 14 Pro. But the Pro models this year will come with the A17 Pro chip. Now this one is a big deal for Apple and for tech geeks. That's because this is now Apple's first slice of silicon, which is built on a 3 nanometer process. This is a massive feat for smartphones and the tech world, but if it gets too geeky for you, it's getting too arcane. What this means is this will be mighty fast and everything will be optimized really well. Well, that's if you're talking about CPU, but if you're talking about GPU and the phone's graphics output capabilities, let's talk about the elephant in the room. There's a big distinction. This guy is great, but this comes with the A17 Pro. So the GPU here means, in short, it is built for gaming. If you want to get into geek language, it's basically a redesigned GPU with 6 cores instead of the 5 that you previously got. So this means it's 20% faster. It's also got better video quality, and the A17 Pro chip also comes with hardware accelerated ray tracing. All of this sounds like, well, very geeky and arcane to a lot of us tuned in. What that means is that Apple wants to take on these guys with something like this device. Now this looks like a backbone or a vertebral column. This is something I purchased because I knew that Apple was up to something in the gaming space. This is an ordinary PlayStation 5 controller, but you need to connect it to an expensive console, get the game, stuff like that. This is a PlayStation supported controller by Backbone, which now, because it has USB-C capabilities, you can connect, wait for this, I'll have to do it when I'm down over here. Well, so this is what gaming is going to look like if Apple has its way. This connected to that big TV with quite a massive, good-looking console is what gaming was like for the last 10 years. And honestly, this feels like this was something meant to be. Imagine being on a flight, getting the same console-like functionality the minute we get access to some of those console-level games. You're going to see it first only and only on Tech Today, because we have the hardware and the software is coming soon. Okay, let's talk about the most important thing for creators like me, which is the camera upgrades in this year's iPhone 15 lineup. The iPhone 15 looks very similar to the 14, like I said. The camera bump is almost the same. You place them on the table. Surprisingly, without covers, not much wobble with these camera modules. But last year you saw a 12 and 12 megapixel camera setup. This year, well, what Apple has done is sort of democratized in the Pro model. So now this comes with a 48 megapixel primary sensor. In terms of taking photos, you can see some of these photos. I'm putting them up on the screen that we have taken. And here is the iPhone 15 and here is the iPhone 15 Pro Max. But that's just ordinary photos, right? While this is nice and cute, let's talk about the Pro Max. And I'm not talking about the Pro because this is the absolute supreme king, the Maharaja of iPhones this time around. And while they both have a 48 megapixel primary sensor, I think in terms of performance, this sensor does a much better job, but we will obviously test that claim in the coming days, like I said. But there's so much more happening in terms of software and hardware with this camera setup, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, which deserves a sequence of its own. So the iPhone 15 Pro Max a massive upgrade from last year's 14 Pro Max, which had a bunch of features that I loved anyhow. The action mode also gets an upgrade that no one's talking about because of one particular feature, the new 5x telephoto lens on this particular device. Now, how does that work? Well, it's essentially a new tetra prism telephoto lens, which now offers 5x zoom and 120mm focal length. But when you're shooting with the Pro devices, this is of course only on the Pro Max, but across the Pro devices, another common feature is that you can now shoot in different focal lengths, 24mm, 28mm and 35mm as well. Now, of course, the Pro models also come with a new photonic engine, which means much better low light shots, better night performance, and a bunch of other things as well, which we'll also test. But honestly, from our initial impressions, this phone, just imagine what we can do next week, and you will see this all across our social media and on the show next week, that you can actually look at a subject, not a digital zoom, but a proper, well, optical-like zoom, 5x, focus on that subject, put action mode on in broad daylight and get a cinematic shot. Another thing that people aren't talking about is a feature that has now come to enhance cinematic mode, which our camera team is so excited about, as am I as a creator, which happens to be continuous zoom. You know how you can really pull out of perhaps, well, a sequence like maybe a football match and then focus to the kick taker, change the focus as well, which by the way, you can now also do in portrait mode in edit. So there's a lot of stuff happening with that A17 Pro chip, and I think that all comes to the 15 Pro Max. So there you go, initial impressions of the new iPhone 15 lineup, brought to you in true Tech Today style, your favorite technology platform. Now, when it comes to these two devices, I honestly think that there's a lot of upgrades. I won't give you a final verdict because that will come after our extensive review through the course of the week. But one thing I can tell you is that the iPhone 15 and the 15 Plus, they are, well, quite a decent upgrade from last year because of now the fact that you have dynamic island, you have a better chipset, better primary camera sensor. That's a 48 megapixel camera coming to this particular device. You're also getting a better exterior, these nice colors. It's a fairly decent package. I'll get to the pricing in a bit and I'll give you some advice there as well. But this is a good upgrade from the iPhone 11 or 12 or even 13, a 5G device which has got everything going for it. It is a good package. But of course, if you want to shell out the big bucks, now there's a little bit of a dilemma, I think, between the Pro and Pro Max. I know people like the pocketability and the handling of a Pro, but the Pro Max, if you want truly Pro features this time, there's a little bit of a difference. Also, the base model now is 256 GB. It's a little bit more expensive as well. That 5x telephoto tetra prism, that whole real setup really changes things for me. And this titanium build really makes it look good. So the price difference between the 15, 15 Plus and the 15 Pro, Pro Max is very significant here in India, but it's not the same story perhaps in Dubai or the US. That's all I'm going to say out there. We're going to get you a lot more in this show, but this for now is the iPhone 15 lineup exclusively here on Tech Today. Okay, I'm going to take some time playing on this particular setup. Kind of interesting. I want to see whether it can actually replace a PlayStation console-like setup. That's what Apple promises. We'll know in the coming weeks and months. Another thing that I usually spend a lot of time on is YouTube. There's a lot of cool things you can do, but I honestly think if you were to do a survey about what content or what type of content Indians were watching, they'd say it was Tech Today across the multiverse, and especially when we do put out our content on YouTube. But that's just me saying it, and I have vested interests. I think it'll be very important to hear what YouTube India has to say in the upcoming special report.
The fact, Ishan, that all these content creators are here is the reason, why India loves watching video content on YouTube. But tell me, what has made news in India? What do Indians love to watch?
I'm probably stating the obvious over here, Karishma, but Indians love to watch video. And we think one of those reasons is because of our deep-rooted history in cinema and in music. But we also think it's because video as a format transcends literary barriers. You don't need to be able to read and write English or Hindi in order to be able to consume video. So we're seeing that video is very often the first port of call for Indians who are seeking out information or entertainment. The other thing that has changed is that technology has now made it easy for anyone to create content. And so that's blurring the lines between who a viewer is and who a creator is. And that is breathing new life into existing content genres that have been on YouTube for a long time: gaming, cooking, tech, beauty, for example. But it's also leading to the creation of new content genres. One is an interest in a revival in the interest in culture. So we have poetry and Hindi Shairi, which is becoming a big community. We see communities forming around science, general knowledge, facts, motivation. And of course, learning has been an evergreen area for us, where people come to YouTube to learn about academic content, vocational content, as well as hobby-related content. But the other thing that's very interesting is languages and the impact that that's playing. Today, you can find content and music on YouTube, but not just in English, Hindi, and other major languages, but across, for example, in music, Haryanvi, Bhojpuri, or Punjabi. And if you're looking for content in specific dialects from Kottayam or Rajamundry or Madurai, it's all available on YouTube today. And in fact, we recently did a study with Oxford Economics, which found that 80% of users believe that they can easily find content in their preferred language on YouTube.
Now, the first half of the show was all about Techtember. That's September loaded with tech for those of you who are uninitiated. The next half of the show is all set to be about Techtober. Now, we have Tech Today's Danny De Cruz, fellow tech geek, who's going to bring you all the details about Techtober.
If you think the month of September was filled with smartphone launches, you're in for a big surprise. There's a long lineup of smartphones coming in the month of October, but don't worry, we are here to sort this out for you and even tell you which are the ones you should be excited about. Let's start with the big one, the Google Pixel 8 series. Now there are two phones that are coming in this series, the Google Pixel 8 and the Google Pixel 8 Pro. And both the devices are going to retain the iconic Pixel design language. You'll still get the visor, but the phones might get slightly more curvier. Now there are two elements in which Google Pixel devices have always excelled: the camera and the software. And this time around, Google is going to enhance both of them yet again. They will be powered by the new Tensor G3 chipset. In terms of camera, you're getting night sight, but this time around, it's for video as well. And when it comes to AI software, you get a lot of new features, which includes one new magic eraser for audio. It basically clears up all the noise in any audio file in your phone. If you're someone who has gotten bored of conventional looking smartphones, there is foldables. Now OnePlus is going to launch their first foldable called OnePlus Open on October 19th. This device will have a 7.8-inch primary display, which will be AMOLED. And then there's a secondary display which is 6.3 inches. And both of them will have fast refresh rate of 120 Hz. Now OnePlus might power this new device with the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. And the company will also provide an OS that might customize the features for the foldable display. Now there's one problem that is plaguing all the smartphones in the foldable segment, which is price. All these devices are priced well above Rs 1 lakh. Now there's a new device called Techno Phantom V Flip, which is priced under Rs 50,000, and it will be going on sale in October. It comes with a massive 6.9-inch display when it's unfolded. And when you fold it, it turns into a small circular 1.32-inch display. The Techno Phantom V Flip is powered by the MediaTek Dimensity 8050 chipset. Now moving on to the next fan favorite, the Samsung Galaxy S23 FE. Now this is a hotly anticipated phone because it comes with a lot of flagship features and is expected to either come with a Snapdragon chipset or an Exynos chipset. It comes with a triple camera setup. Now Samsung has already been teasing this new phone with the phrase the new epic. And looking at those teasers, we know that it's a triple camera setup. And like every fan edition, this phone will also be great for photography enthusiasts. Now, all these smartphones are launching just in time for the festive season sales. So stay tuned to Tech Today for detailed reviews.
You remember when ChatGPT was the buzzword of the AI revolution? Then came a trend called Google Bard, and now everyone's been talking about Alexa since last week because Alexa has gotten an entire makeover. And you'd know that if you were consuming our content as of last week. Tech Today was at the new Amazon headquarters in Arlington, Virginia, where we spoke to the real brain behind Alexa as well and figured out that Alexa's gotten a lot more relatable, it's more ambient, more conversational, and it's kind of cool. But what if those features are now coming to OpenAI's chatbot, which happens to be ChatGPT? Well, it's borderline scary, but it's also, if used the right way, quite a nifty feature. Have a look.
AI became the talk of the town the moment ChatGPT, the popular chatbot, was rolled out for public use. And just when people began to wrap their heads around all its possible uses, OpenAI, the creators of ChatGPT, have launched yet another massive update. ChatGPT can now speak, hear, and even see you. Just like Siri and Alexa, the ChatGPT AI chatbot on your phone can now respond to your queries. Since typing can become tedious at times, this feature can now really put many at ease. And to make these interactions more natural, the company is offering 5 human voices that make the chatbot sound like you are conversing with a human.
Who is his best friend? His best friend was Luna, a luminescent firefly.
ChatGPT can not only talk back to you, but it also technically has eyes now. So you can just simply snap a picture and ask questions about it to the AI chatbot. Not just that, you can even ask the chatbot to focus on the part of the image by using the drawing tool feature in the app. Yes, this does sound like something that Google Lens is also known for, but imagine Google Lens with the LLM or brains of ChatGPT. Another thing that sets ChatGPT apart from others is that it does not have a call word. To use the voice command feature, you will have to go to the app and tap on the microphone icon to start a conversation with a chatbot. Both voice and image updates will roll out for all ChatGPT Plus users on Android and iOS in the coming weeks. ChatGPT Plus is a subscription-based plan for premium users who have to pay 1,650 rupees per month. So the recent announcement from Amazon's Alexa and Google's new AI Converse feature seem to have rejuvenated the AI revolution, and it looks like ChatGPT is all set to take things to the next level as well. Back to you, Aayush.
Well, just like that, yet another action-packed episode of your favorite technology show draws to a close. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, saying, well, we've covered Techtober, Techtober, AI, the new iPhones, the past, the present, and the future of technology on this one episode of Tech Today. I can't wait to put this show together for you the next week as well, because there's so much more from the Apple ecosystem that we'll be covering across the Tech Today multiverse. I'm your host, Aayush Ailawadi, saying thank you so much for watching. Until next week, adios.
If you like the video, do like, comment, share and subscribe.